I'm here with my good friend, Tim Rhodes, today, and we are going to talk about some of the most important aspects of farming that are upon the world right now. It's good to have you with us, Tim.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we're here at Global Food Providers Farm in Panama,
In
in
Panama.
Chiriquí Province. So good to have you here. We have a very, very important prototype that we are building that is going to affect and is going to help the world. Why? Because fertilizer is becoming either so expensive or it's under great control or it's just not available. And we have found how to literally step off of the commercial fertilizer grid and how to grow and create our own fertilizer right on the farm. You can't believe how liberating that is. When the farmers are saying fertilizer's up 400%, and we say, oh, really? We didn't recognize that. We didn't know that. They're all going bankrupt, and we're just creating our own fertilizer. Tim, you've been doing this for decades.
You can't afford, well, especially now, it's really difficult to afford all of the different commercial fertilizers, and those aren't organic either. So you're creating your own, and we have that opportunity with the chickens that we have around here, that we can take the manure and all of the greens that we'll shred and turn into compost, gives us the opportunity to stay away from that whole commercial market.
And that is a tightly controlled market, controlled by only a few who make all the money at the top off the backs of the slaves at the bottom. And our farm, being we're a prototype farm, we grow superfoods super fast to dehydrate them and give them out to widows and orphans. And so our farm's not here to make money, but we would like to save some money in the process of growing these foods. And so when we started this farm almost 8 years ago, the commercial guys were all in our pockets, and we were paying for this farm. We were paying the number 2 expense of the farm was fertilizer, $1,500 a month for this farm, and the top expense was employees. Number 2, right under it, was fertilizer. And then we learned how to start with chicken poop and with rabbit tea, and we started that project years ago, and we got completely off the fertilizer grid. Now that $1,500 a month would cost us $6,000 a month to run this farm. We'd just be bankrupt. It'd be over. We would not be here today.
That's right.
If we had stuck with the commercial. But thank God we got some revelation light early on years ago to get started down this other path. And it's literally saved our hides. Well, there's a lot of farmers whose hides need to be saved right now. And there's a lot of backyard gardens who need to, they have to have their hides saved.
That's right. That's very true.
So, Tim, we have a 4-legged stool approach: chicken poop, rabbit poop, compost, and worm castings.
Correct.
And with those 4 things, we never have to go to the outside for fertilizer again. The fertilizer is within our farm, and we will have so much, and eventually we're going to have so much, we'll be able to help other gardens and farms around us.
That's right.
We have a whole lot more than we need.
Absolutely. And it's a great thing to offer the general public, be able to do that. And as we're continuing to build our compost, we'll have, at some point, we'll have probably 10 bins that we can create hundreds and hundreds of pounds of compost, and so I'm looking forward to that. Have been working on this for a couple of years to get all of the components together, and so here you've got 9 greenhouses, and not to have to go to the marketplace and spend that kind of money, like you're saying, it's in the thousands of dollars.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah. That's literally saving us, and is going to save a lot of people around the world in the future. We've got a lot of opportunity, and through social media, we're reaching a lot of community leaders in other nations, other continents around the world. So
absolutely,
this project right here, and we're asking you to get involved. Either pray for us or help us to fund this thing. It's not that much money, really.
No.
We're setting posts up and putting wire cages around. We already have the Bobcat. We had donors give us a Bobcat this last year. We got that thing ready to flip thousands of pounds of compost. We've got more compost coming out of here than you could imagine every day. Wheelbarrows full of things we've grown, including weeds, because we won't spray our weeds. So we grow lots of them. I tell our employees all the time, if we could just sell these weeds, we'd be in tall cotton. But what we've learned is now we can wheelbarrow those weeds, run them out and compost them, and the weeds, we're literally growing our plant food.
That's correct.
That's just amazing that everything has a place. Nothing goes to waste.
Well, that's the thing about the organic story, is that we can take everything, including leaves off of trees, and here in Panama, they harvest a lot of sugarcane. Well, we can take that and grind that up, and it's what we're using for compost. And then the compost gives us the fertilizer component, and so it works beautifully, and that's where we're at right now.
It's very cyclical, and what we call sustainable. So there's nothing better than growing your fertilizer, using your scraps and your trash to grow your fertilizer, which is going to grow the food that we're able to give or sell or whatever a person's doing around the world.
That's right. That's right. And as we learned, we were able to take all of our kitchen scraps, as long as it didn't have bones or meat in it, we took all of that, and that went into our gardens, or went into the compost, and it was amazing. When you see your compost, when it's working, it'll be in the neighborhood of around 175, 180 degrees. And so that's why you see all of that. The compost shrinks down into just gold.
It's literally burning itself.
That's true.
And when you turn it, I've seen many times smoke coming out.
Yep, absolutely. There's the steam coming out of there.
Steam, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So and that's when you see that, that composting is working wonderfully. And so we've got all kinds of things that we can use for that, and get away from you stay with organics. Everything is natural as it can be, because even fertilizers many that you use have a toxic environment, toxic component to it. So if you can stay natural, that adds to everybody's health and great growing, and keeps all of the bugs down, and everything is organic. So this is going to be picture perfect very soon, really.
It also, when you're talking about the harshness of commercial fertilizer, it also really destroys the ground. We're trying to grow ground here. We're trying to grow soil.
That's right.
And that's what composting is. We're growing soil. But even along where all of our plants are at, we're trying to grow that, not kill it. So when we do things right, the earthworms come.
That's right.
The microbiotics work, and they clean the roots, and the plant's happy. Everyone's happy, and the ground is alive.
It is
alive. You
start
throwing commercial in there, and you kill it all.
Well, that's what we're finding now. Great, vast amounts of farmland are literally dying or dead because they've over-fertilized it, and now they're trying to go back and create the naturalness of it, which will take years, but I mean, that's a good thing to turn around. But we're starting really here with good soil, and it's going to be even better. It'll be really gold for the process. We'll be able to sell compost, we'll be able to do things, and so it's an exciting time, and we do need your help for sure.
And it's an interesting thing. Before I started farming, which I had never successfully grown a tomato plant before we came to Panama and started farming, and but I'm an entrepreneur, and so I always figure it out. I've always said this about God, that my whole life, he said, son, I need you to dig a 10-foot hole. And so I dig it, and then I say, okay, now what? And he says, now figure out how to get out of it. And then, okay, well, if you can figure out how to get out of it, there's thousands of others in the same hole, and you'll help them get out as well. So that's kind of been my life, and that's how we plunged into farming. Like, oh my goodness, what did I get involved in now? And we've been learning how to help others get out of the hole. And that is exactly what's happening here with compost. And so I get excited now thinking about growing soil or creating compost, because at the end of the day, we get to fulfill the vision of feeding widows and orphans and the extreme poor.
Absolutely.
If I can grow my own fertilizer, then I can grow my own plants, and I can dehydrate my plants, and I can get those into the hands of those that need it. So the less needs that we have in the commercial world, the more we can produce and keep for the poor here.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true. So we're putting it all together in one natural cycle, and it really works well. And we're seeing massive amounts of farms trying to go back to the organics. And like I said, it's been decades, so it's going to take a long time for those to get back to that place where they have super crops. So their crops are minimized because of all of the toxic material that's in the ground.
I want to engage you right now. Pray for us. We would like, if you can, $5, $20, $100, whatever you can do to help us get this compost thing completed and running in a sustainable motor-like fashion. And then also, we need you to come on down here. We want to show you these secrets and show you exactly how to do it for yourself. Whether you're a farmer or whether you're a backyard gardener, you can do exactly the same thing. And you can set up your four-legged stool approach right in your backyard with enough food in a little plot to feed your whole family. And you'll never, ever need to go to the commercial fertilizer store again. You'll have it all right there in your backyard. It's a miracle. It's amazing. So thank you for your help. Thanks for your support. And thank you for listening to us today.